Real Faces of Horror, my YouTube series that is both constantly requested and scrutinized. 2 years ago, I did an episode on Latoya Ammons, a woman who was living in a house that was dubbed Hell's Portal. And the most terrifying thing about this case in particular was that it was modern. No haunting like this had been marked in recent history, especially with over 800 pages of details by the police, child services, and religious officials. So imagine my surprise when the rest of the story is revealed in a sinister first-hand documentary. Demon House is Zach Bagans' nightmare come to life. Bagans is known as one of America's reality TV stars of the paranormal kind. He is the director and star of Travel Channel's #1 rated series, Ghost Adventures. And when Zach heard about Latoya's house, he did the unthinkable. He bought it. A choice he now deeply regrets. Demon House is a documentary about the events that transpire during the days and weeks after he purchased the house. But the amount of people involved in this documentary is the killer for me. Priests, police, squatters, old home owners, the camera crew, people who have no motive to go along with the idea. And for that reason, you want to pay full attention to this film. There is so much information packed into this documentary that I found it hard to keep up, or really fathom. No joke, I watched this documentary twice in 24 hours just so I could get all of the details in. The documentary is both hosted, written, and directed by Zach Bagans. I have to be honest with you guys, although some people are finding this documentary a bit hard to swallow, I think it was just incredible and I was scared as fuck when I watched it. I don't know if it had a huge toll on me just because I don't watch a lot of reality supernatural series, but I felt like I was sold. The structure of the documentary is something that was a little bit confusing the first time around, but the second time around, you really see all the pieces of the puzzle come together. It is told primarily through voiceover by Bagans, and let me say, his voiceover, he has done some voice work, you can definitely tell, and he's definitely trained to talk a certain way, although the monotone does get a little bit scratchy halfway through, but I was still hooked. And I think I was really hooked because of the structure. He goes through what happens to Ammons originally in the house, and then he tries to visit her, and then you see so many people that have been affected throughout this story retelling the events of what happened to them. And it's fucked up. And I can see where people are saying it is kind of cheesy because it does use the typical, I guess, paranormal ghost hunter, adventurer, whatever elements. It has cold colors, lots of blues, lots of greens. It's very cold and eerie, and that's done through color correcting, totally. They have reenactments throughout it. I did think that the reenactments were pretty good, but I actually really love reenactments. I'm one of those weird people who are obsessed with them. I really love watching like crime investigation channel and all that kind of stuff. So reenactments aren't a bad thing for me. But if you are not a fan of them, you will definitely not be a fan of this because they did utilize a lot of that vision. And then of course the voiceover, which really pulls the story along, and it has such a catchy beginning and end, talking about how the story is just cursed. For me, it was just an exceptional tale of filling in all of the details of a story I already knew. But for someone straight off the bat who might not know about the story, it might just sound like a fictional piece of crap. I'm sorry. But seriously, you need to check out the backstory. Maybe that will help you before you watch it. And although that might reveal a little bit, there's so much weird things that happened in this house before I even knew that he went there. You'll see in my video, if you go back and watch it, I'll link it below. I say that the house has been bought and then update, it's been demolished. So I knew that kind of bookend, but I didn't know anything else. So for me, it was a real realization and really spooky because I had heard other people telling the same story through their eyes. This movie just made me feel really uneasy, and there was just something bizarre going on. Even if some of it was fabricated, the story really does ring true to the facts that I read, and it just is hard to disprove with so many people involved in the situation. It really did shake me to the core, so much that I had to watch it again to kind of see it and believe it and get all the details. and really figure out how the fuck this happened, how many people were involved, and how did they put themselves in this situation. I think that this is a great horror documentary, and if you haven't checked it out, you can watch it on YouTube. You have to pay, but you can watch it on YouTube. I'm gonna give this one a personal score of 7. A scare score for me would be like 8, but maybe for you, maybe like a 5. And originality factor, it's hard because it's non-fiction, so I'd probably give it a 6. I think that the way they put it together was quite interesting. Check it out if you are home alone on a Friday night and you want something to scare the fuck out of you. I really think that this might do it for you. Let me know what you guys thought of Demon House down below. I'm sure you've all seen it by now, but you guys really wanted to see this review. I obviously thought it was fucking fascinating, and I hope you do too. I'll talk to you guys very soon. Stay spooky. Bye.